Good afternoon, my friend. We are now recording. This is my friend David Carmell, new friend of mine, new connection of mine. I appreciate you being on the podcast today. This is another episode of Burn the Ship. We really create the bridge between entrepreneurs and the resources out there for entrepreneurs, and we put them in layman's terms. Right? We're trying to figure out how to make everyday entrepreneurship, being in a startup, and all of the obstacles that we face easier as best of our ability, based on the experiences that we have within our business. So, please, my friend, don't let me steal all of your thunder here. Please introduce yourself and your product, man. I really do appreciate you being here.
Hey, first, Bailey, thanks for having me, and just want to compliment you and your team for what you do. It's an important service that you provide,
Thank you.
letting people know that there's hope, there's ability, there's experience, there's all these things that most of us are not prepared to control our financial futures. If you think about it, most of us don't know where and how to begin. So one of the great places is with you. But what you said at the beginning about bringing everything together, that's what we really do at our platforms, Deal Rocket and Startup Rocket. It's an idea I had in my head for a long time. And then right before the pandemic, um, I started thinking, why is it so darn difficult to bring people together, to get investors, to get talent, to get companies, to get large organizations to invest in their ecosystem? So we came up with this idea and thought called you've got to provide value beyond your product. That's what people are looking for today. And what we offer is really on steroids, what you talked about, because we're all about helping people, businesses, and powerful ideas who would not otherwise meet become extraordinary together fast. And we do that through our both private, co branded, and white label products that revolutionize how businesses and brands scale and engage. And even further, Bailey, if you think about it, the ability to invite your ecosystem onto a platform, or the ability yourself to come on to a platform where all of a sudden you can be passing people on the street every day who may be able to help you, and you have no idea that they're there. We need podcasts like yours and others. But what we do is we take this in the entire single platform and we let the people go at it. And these companies invite their clients, their professionals, business referral partners. And also, as I told you before, we view ourselves, we're from Switzerland. It's not for us to tell you what you should believe or what you should go after and focus on. So if you want to be involved with the greatest talent retention platform in the world, or just remember the customer acquisition side, or to be the leader in inclusion while putting growth and unbelievable control at your fingertips. That's what we bring to the parties here. And this is so important because we're now past the imagine stage. All we need to do is start scaling and getting a lot of people together all in one place. We're rowing in the same direction. And one last thing, when I talk about inclusion and being from Switzerland, if you want to invite women, minority businesses, or we joke around, but people with purple hair, that's up to you. That's where you can focus on. It's not for us. Or if you want to start with startups or small businesses or your talent or prospects, both clients as well as future employees, there is no better way to bring people in. Because if you think about it, Bailey, where do people want to get involved today? They want to get involved in small business in the startup ecosystem. And what are your audience telling you? We can't get in. We need you. But you are one great conduit, but there has to be a bigger way where even you can explode and take your clients and your people and your audience to a whole different level and make it fast, simple, and affordable. And that's what we do. And it's time to reward your ecosystems. It's time to get these people together. It's a rigged game. They tell you that public markets are the way to go, but you know what? The best money and the best experience are in the private sector. And where these people say, oh, we got to buy in at IPOs at $25. Well, you're probably buying stock from the very people who have paid less than 30 cents a share. So just think about the upside potential and about helping a lot of people, making a lot of money, and doing a lot of good, and also bring a whole lot of people together like yourselves with a common purpose. And that's what we're about.
Sure. So, talk to me a little bit about the problem, right? For the people that are listening that are outside the ecosystem of small business and startups, or if you are within that ecosystem of small business and startups and you haven't experienced issues with engagement and scale, talk to me about what the typical experience is for a startup or a small business owner when it comes to community, engagement, and scale.
Great question. I'll be happy to do so. I can take it from the little guy all the way up to the big guy. How about that?
Sure.
So let's just say you're a novice starting out with an idea, or you'd like to get involved into the small business or startup ecosystem, and you don't know where how to go. Or you're currently a startup that is trying to gain traction or just getting going, getting your team together, your idea, your concept, and also not knowing where and how to begin. Because if you really think about it, most people think you have to go to these venture capital firms or there's no other alternative out there. And that's not the case. Also, how do I meet the right people? Because I don't know about you, Bailey, but I don't have a license on brains or experience.
Nope.
So,
Not
how
me.
do you bring people together? We've created something called Deal Teams, a platform on ours where people can be matched very quickly with the common skills and experience that the head of the deal team would want to bring together. So just think about you. I would probably want your telecommunication skills, your marketing skills, your sales abilities, and ability to reach others. Because for me, maybe sitting where I am, I could use those abilities, right? So I want you on my deal team. At the same time, you may want to get involved in our company because this is the way you can provide, experience and ability, and also possibly capital, but that's not a requirement for being on the deal teams. It's all with people getting together. And then later on, if you want to help raise money or get involved, we have what we call a global deal exchange. So people can be the capital providers and capital seekers can be matched. Now for the big guy, and think about if you're the little guy where you're starting out on a shoestring or you don't have the money. Just think about if somebody could invite you and your team onto the platform to get before these people at no charge. What a great way to develop your future minor leagues and businesses. You never know when one of these startups could go from zero to unicorn in a hurry. So if you're a law firm, accounting firm, if you're an insurance company, all these type of players out there, insurance agency, you also have a chance to rainmake on these deal teams too. They all need your services, right? It's not just your skills, but it's the services you combine. So we all have a chance to grow and become a virtuous cycle together. And for the big guy that may have millions and millions of people and businesses in their ecosystem. And as a quick digress, how I really got pushed to this, it was a nudge from my bride who said, I think I told you the story briefly, but I wrote a couple of articles for the Huffington Post that went viral, and then we got responses back from people from all walks of life, from the C-suite to accounting firms, law firms, everyday people, and they just said, keep going. And my wife said to me, and this is me paraphrasing. She wouldn't speak like that, but all that bitching and moaning you've been doing about how inefficient the marketplaces are and how people can't meet and it should be so easy and how the big guy can't meet with the little guy because they have no idea because they're missing an innovation. So, okay, I got you. So anyway, this is me. Well, you've got more feedback in a week than you would do knocking the door for 5 years. So I suggest you get moving or drop this whole thing. So that's how we get going. And what really got me into the play is realizing that the little guy from the very beginning to the top guy who has these huge ecosystems all have the same issue. They don't really know how to begin. They need that innovation. They need that nudge. They need that help. They need that fast way to bring it together. So I'll never forget, it was a Thursday afternoon at 4 p.m. One of the 5 financial services firm I wrote an email to was Wells Fargo. And this is before they imploded. And next morning at 8 a.m., they called me. I almost fell off my chair. And they go, what you're talking about, the big guy, little guy, collaboration, the innovation, the ecosystems, all these things. This is exactly what we're looking for. This is what we need. And I said to you, you remember, Bailey, I said, I was waiting for that butt to drop. And then it happened. They said, we have 3 million small business customers. I said, yes. And they said, we probably have another 15 or 20 million in our ecosystem. And my heart started to think. And they said, if you can invite all those, assuming you can invite all those people onto the platform, how do we know it works? And this is what they said. I said, oh, they said, your job is to solve our problem, which is we're big, which is good, and we're big, which is bad.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, oh, my job is to turn your bad into good. And they said, exactly. So they said, about MVPs, minimally viable product? I said, yes, because we hate them. Because for the big guy, you show 5 examples and they can't scale once you try to do it. So I said, what do you need? She said, if you can provide us a platform fully built out with 15 to 20,000 mock or real users that we can come in there and kick some, what on, then we know it will work and we'll have a deal. And, the interesting thing about that, Bailey, is then I said, oh, this is before we wrote a stitch of code, and this is part of the things about being an entrepreneur, maybe it can pass on to the audience, is this is where you got to make a key decision.
Right.
Are you in or you're out? Because the big guy just told you what they need. And I said to him, you want me to solve your most valuable problem? They said, exactly. And I said, in a way that you or your clientele has never experienced before. They said, exactly. So that's how we got going. And even when things changed at Wells Fargo, this is how we took it forward. And now we can turn this into private white label branded products. And it's just great. And I say that, Bailey, and if I could pass this on to your audience as well, you have to have confidence in yourself. I've heard you speak about this as well. You have to have confidence in your abilities and the direction and thesis where you're going. On the other hand, someone has to take the devil's advocate approach and wants it to fail. The Israelis call this the 10th man, because in 1973, before the Yom Kippur War, everybody believed that they would not be attacked on the holiest day of the year. And guess what? It didn't happen. They never wanted that to happen again. So someone in your audience and on your team has to say, I want this to fail. It's got to go, all these things. That was me. I wanted it to fail. There is not a single module that could pass mustard without my approval, and I did everything I could to blow it up. So I just want your audience to think about that. Yes, you have to, but you have to do your audience and your team and your people you work with a favor too, which is to say that you have thoroughly tested it, right? To say you want to take a different mindset, because I got to realize once you come out of the weeds and all that, and you realize that, man, this thing could scale with millions and have a chance to really change how we take a look at things, to create a whole new financial ecosystem beyond the Fed and traditional financing where you and I can play an individual role. It's incredible. And the reason I say that now with so much excitement is because I know it works, I know it can scale, and I know what we can do. And I know people like yourselves. I appreciate your input, because thank you for coming on ahead of time and looking at the platform. And I think you could speak to what we try to accomplish and how what a great way it is for us to partner together.
I have taken a, yeah, absolutely. I have taken a look at the platform. I have experienced it for myself, right? And it kind of leads me into my next question, right?
Sure.
Your platform is unique in the idea that it solves many problems for the same subset of people in one place, right? Because I think with all of the problems that we've been taught in the startup community, right? What you really learn is solve one problem really, really well in a very specific way. And the way that your product is built, it is kind of lined with features and benefits that allows it to solve problems in a very multifaceted way. Explain to me why it is that you guys have decided to kind of combine the managing the salespeople that you work with, managing your deals, managing your referral partners, creating a community of investors, and all of those things. Like, explain to me the rationale behind solving all of those problems in one place, rather than being very specific in working with um, being very specific and solving one problem at a time for a very specific community?
That's a terrific question, multifaceted, and let me give you the best answer I can. I've sat in a lot of chairs.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in a lot of different sides of the table. So I think I had pretty good experience thinking about what were the pains, the great, the good, the bad, the ugly. And if you look at like our Startup Rocket um, website in the About page, you'll see there's a specific statement we have. If roles were reversed. So we always thought about if roles were reversed, what would we want? And this is what we want. And we realized that one of the things, like as Henry Ford said, and we've talked about, is if I asked my customers what they wanted, they would have said a faster horse. And there is a method to the madness. And Steve Jobs talked about how it's great about design and be eloquent and make it so easy and welcoming to the user. And that's what we do. And for the whether you're the little guy or the big guy, if the big guy wants to put millions on and do this type of inviting and their teams and all that, we make it so simple and easy for them. Because as we say, we can Bayerize insurance, we can Bayerize law, we can Bayerize whatever you want, and they can be the hero. And that's benefits beyond product, benefits beyond service. So taking what you said is and diagramming it. Are we all really that different? We want to get in the game. We want to
Right.
get off the sidelines.
Right.
We want to become innovative. We want to feel like we're doing something. You know, the pandemic forced digital experience, like put 5 years ahead of where it was. So like I had to go back and rewrite and redo our thesis, and that's how we came up with DealRockit as well as then Startup Rocket. And so I thought about the little guy, what they want. They want access and opportunity, inclusion, right? What does the big guy really want? Access and opportunity. They want to be included. They don't feel like they're being included. They're the last people to see the new technology and all that other stuff. They need to really get their game going. They need to really take advantage. They don't know. If you even listen to Deloitte or McKinsey speak and all that, we talk about ecosystem investing. We're not all wind up. We're wind up and fastball. We can tell you what you need, but we also provide you with a fast, simple solution. It's
Sure.
just great.
And
So if you
that's kind
think of,
of, if I could speak to
yeah,
that
sure.
part right there specifically, and I I I relate to the way that you solve your problem. And the reason is because I'm in the payment space, right?
Mhm.
And in the payment space, my experience has been very rarely does interest in payments create a strong top of the funnel, right? And so what we do, it's cool, you can leave it.
Mhm.
What we do is we line the value that we create with the payments relationship with all of the other things that we do well. We do the podcast very well. We do our pitch competition very well. We do our networking event here locally very well. We do a virtual networking event very well. The thing that you need to know from the mindset of a small business owner, a future small business owner, someone that is looking to take their idea stage startup into the seeded or post revenue space, the idea that there are resources out there for you, but that they are hard to access is one of the biggest barriers in my space, right? Because when I invite people to a networking event, it feels like a daunting task. Or when I invite people on the podcast, you have to allot time and you have to prepare and you have to know what you're going to say on that. And what you said, highlighting the idea that the digital experience was accelerated by 5 years because of the pandemic, I think that is what is so unique about your product, right? That is really, if I could brag on it in one specific area, I think that it is very, very unique that you create this auxiliary value between the relationships that people are creating within their own businesses, and you help them monetize those relationships and organize those relationships and understand those relationships while also bringing value to them in so many different areas, right? Because Deal Rocket and Startup Rocket, the idea is scale, growth, community. But all the things around those things, I think, is what is so unique. Because you create this network of entrepreneurs and founders that are so much of of value to the things that you're doing within your small business that is it's almost unquantifiable. Like the conversations that I've had on the podcast with some of the people and some of the things that I've learned about sales and small business has been so hard for me to quantify. And I think all the auxiliary value and the relationship and the power of your relationships, how much more you get out of your relationships with a tool like Deal Rocket and Startup Rocket, it's you know, it's kind of based on the specific entrepreneur or founder, how much value they get out of that. Because if you were like me, that lives and dies by your calendar and works as hard as you can to keep that calendar full, following up and keeping those relationships front of mind and making sure that you're bringing and delivering value over and over again is super, super important. It's probably the most important thing that you can do in your small business. And this tool uniquely addresses that. You know what I mean? It addresses that idea that digital experience is super important, but long-term relationships based on value are the lifeblood of your business. It really in a very unique way merges a very digital and a very personal idea about business and about entrepreneurship.
Exactly. It's personalized
Mm-hmm.
from the individual all the way up to the big guy, if you think about it. It's a personalized experience. Unmet needs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Understanding wants and needs. These are the things that we try to remember. I said before, and first of all, thank you for your compliment. It's nice to hear, not because it's for ego purposes, but when a person understands what you're trying to accomplish and sees it for themselves and then can articulate it better than you can, I view that as a big win. So, but in reality, you're investing, right? You're also taking your business and yourself to a whole nother level. You're not just the insurance guy. You're not just the telecom guy, right? You're now a partner. You now have a seat at the table
Yeah, you're the business
because
guy.
absolutely you're now, and like think about this, that if you who you bring this to, and they're going to say, whoa, you bring it on. And so if you ever want to bring new ideas or products to them, they're going to trust you because they know you invested in me and you made this personal. Now, reality is if somebody invites 10 million people onto the platform, um, it still can be very personal if you see where I'm coming from. There's no question about it. Also, think about prospects, talent, right? What if you invited future talent, people like when you're in college, right? Or if you're out there in law school or graduate school or wherever the heck you are, invite them on ahead of time. Or if you're looking as an insurance agency for acquisitions and stuff, maybe invite these agencies on ahead of time to see how well you work together, right? You're different. You want to separate. Also, from a talent perspective, think about if you're a fourth or eighth year associates, what law firms can't keep today. Where do they want to be? They want to be here. They want to get involved in startups. They want to be able to do something good, provide value, get involved in things. And guess what? They also want to rainmake, right? Bring new business. And they also want to have a chance to be first chair. And if you can offer these type of things to your ecosystem and build that virtuous cycle where everybody wins, you're going to be the biggest winner of all. And that's what we want everybody to be. So we're all in it together if you really think about it. So when we get these deal teams going and the matching, and when you bring your own teams from work or even your fraternity, college, high school, whatever it is, get them together. It's just great. And also for the large guy, you can help it make it scale and bring these unmet needs from people. I'll use the term in quotes, underserved, right? There's a lot of people out there who think they want access, they want opportunities, whether you're 25 or 65. The people at 65 are not ready to go out to pasture. And
Absolutely.
I've written some articles. We may express it differently, but generationally, we all want the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
We want to have access, opportunity, want to do a lot of good, right? Make a lot of money, have a lot of fun, and bring people together in unique ways.
Sure.
And if you're the
Absolutely.
one who can provide that, and then what is it, like you said, from personalized? So how do you get all this robustness and design it so it's easy to use and fast? you could see it split second. And also, how do you test out scenarios ahead of time, right? Just in case I'm not that experienced, or if I want to see who might be interested in these things before I fill out certain, listings or, forms. We just want you to feel comfortable, right? Or if you're looking to remake and seeing who is out there who might be a potential for your business, this is what it's all about. It's not about David Carmell and our people hanging around like bad smells. We're like passing the baton. Okay, think about the relay race, right? As Americans, we usually have the four fastest runners, but we lose because we don't know how to pass the baton. What we do better than anybody else is make those seamless passes. And if you think about it, so you can concede. If you think about your industry, right? Payments. There are a lot of passes going on, right?
A
Se-
lot.
Seamless ones.
Oh yeah.
You educated me on that in going through it. Well, um, there is a method to the madness of what we want to do. And remember what I said: if roles were reversed, and this is what my way of trying to say. As an entrepreneur, one of the things you have to admit, if you can't find a clear cut problem, then get involved in these deal teams, get involved in these experiences, because you're going to learn a lot more and realize there's something out there that's missing. But in my case, this is bugging me for over a decade. It just destroyed me. There's so many bad investments or acquisitions or getting people together because they didn't have the choices and they felt they had forced. Why not start out 85 to 95% ahead of the game
Right.
and let you guys take it from there?
Sure.
Because if you really think about it, all the due diligence and all the things that need to get done way ahead of time that you never hit, why should you have to worry about when you're showing what you can verify ahead, right? And get there, and you're already friends, basically, right? You're already future business partners, and you answer a lot of the tough questions, and you saw what we request and ask. So whether you're preparing a pitch or you want to put your best foot forward, that's what we want. And we always try to think about, again, if roles reverse. So if I'm on the capital seeker side or if I'm on the deal team side, what is it that the other side's going to want to know, right? And vice versa, what are they going to want from me? So these are all the things that we built in there. What's good for one is good for the other, and it's just a different mindset. And as an entrepreneur, and one of the things is disruption and solving problems. We can offer a far better world. And just think about having your own ecosystem. You're not beholden to Google. You're not beholden to traditional financial system. You're not beholden to whether venture capital or banking decides that it's safe to go back in the water and invest or lend again. The people and these companies will all get together, can now change all that. We don't have to worry about Fed or any of these other things. It's up to us. And guess what causes recession? It's not inflation per se or high oil prices. It's the lack of capital.
Mm-hmm.
And what we do better than anybody else is called capital connectedness. And that's where we bring people and from different backgrounds, it's experiences, it's abilities, it's knowledge, it's all these things. That is capital connectedness. And that's what you want. That's what I want. And collectively, that's what we all want, because we're not in it alone. We don't have to worry about anymore not knowing where and how to begin, because this is the greatest pool to play in.
Absolutely.
And remove the barriers and get you to succeed fast.
Exactly. I think over 2 years, my audience has heard me talk so much about the value of auxiliary value in your business, is offering something to people that they're just not going to get somewhere else from other people in your industry. I hope that our audience has learned today that David here has taken that same idea that I've been preaching for so long and really developed a platform that promotes that idea of auxiliary value and helps your business align with that in a way that my podcast never could, honestly, because I can talk about it all day. But if you're looking for a platform that can help you do it, I think DealRockit is probably the platform for you. It just it takes a very, very human perspective on a very, very digital age that we're living in as far as small business and entrepreneurship goes, with good technology. Honestly, I think it's very, very unique. Kind of in closing here, my friend, as we got off here, tell describing the resources that your platform brings, that the podcast brings, that our platform brings, all of these things are great. But for the person that is sitting in front of their screen listening to this right now, still kicking around the idea of really going all in on their business, why don't you describe that experience for me, and for the audience, for yourself? Like, I know you started developing the platform pre-pandemic, and you've probably went through a couple of renditions of really, of reorganizing your thoughts as far as the way your product displays those. So just tell me what it feels like to jump all in and know that what you're doing is the right thing.
That's a great question. I am a longtime entrepreneur, and yeah, I'm a lawyer. I came out of law school, and my first job, I just want to let you know, was assistant to chairman and CEO of a very large corporate public company in Chicago. And I've also had businesses of my own and asset intensive, and now moving into the asset light. And quite frankly, if I can digress 1 minute here,
Sure.
um, sometimes you have to understand what you do well and what you don't do well. And this is also what we're about,
Sure.
and getting those around you to supplement and become the greatest, most powerful team out there fast. And I was always able to design things well and fix and see the the solution and how to get there through logistics and so forth and the path forward. But I never realized that I was really designing and developing software at the same time. I'm not a great programmer by any means, but I certainly know how to design, develop, lead, and visualize and articulate and get the best product. So for you people out there, it took someone to give me that nudge. Like, you need a nudge in life. Who said to me about several years ago, you really should develop software because you solve problems fast for other people all the time in your own businesses too. I go, what? I can barely program.
Hmm.
And he said to me, and you got to have thick skin, audience out there, if you're going to do this, because
That
you
is a
got to be
fact.
able to
We
take.
have talked about
So
that
that
before. We have
you've
talked about
got
that
to
before.
have thick skin, be a good listener, because this is one of the things. Because as Henry Ford said, if I asked my customers what they wanted, they would have said a faster horse. So they're telling you, don't ask me, just solve the problem and bring it to me. So any event, having put that little pitch in, he said, sometimes you are just an idiot. Literally said that. I go, oh, well, thanks a lot. He goes, sometimes you could be the smartest guy in the room and not know it, and the dumbest guy at the same time. So listen, you've been designing software and handing it over to programmers for your entire career with solutions. That's what software development is about. So when somebody changed the definitional term for me, the light bulb went on. And then that's when all this came together as far ultimately with DealRockit. So for you, for out there, but I got to tell you, some of our first iterations that I started with, I was so unhappy. They stunk. No, I mean, seriously, I felt like throwing the computer out the window. I didn't, but I mean, but it was my wife who said to me at the right time, when I was probably banging my head against the wall at 3 o'clock in the morning, trying to find what's
Figure
needs to
something
be
out.
tinkered with.
Yeah.
And she says,
Diagnosing.
exactly. She said, you got to realize something. There's millions of people out there, maybe even tens of millions, that you don't know who are rooting for you because they want in, they want access, they want opportunity. So that little nudge again got me. So finally, when it took the very clear insight and things to bring things together, but you're not going to get it on first pass, and maybe unless you're going to do an app, I mean a real little app and things like that. And I'm not belittling it, but those are great businesses. But if you're going to take on the world literally and rearrange and create a whole new ecosystem that's beyond all this, we didn't start out that way. Okay,
Yep.
all I can tell you, and I've got this in front of me actually, what I started out thinking, because I didn't start out thinking we're going to build a platform. I mean, we just want to solve a big problem fast. That's what I really wanted to do. So I just want your audience to know I started out asking myself 5 basic questions. And if I could answer those 5 then I was done. You understand? I had to have some milestone going forward. So I'm going to read this. Is there a real need for a platform that accelerates a new technology and capability that enables lower cost, higher quality services, that optimizes growth, retention, and success rates, that is ripe for mass adoption and scale, and that can make a real difference in people's lives? Pretty tall order, right?
Hmm?
So, I just went back and I started reviewing, you know what I'm saying, about making sure. And that's why I developed our about page as well. I always want to have barometers in front of me to make sure that we're still on the right page or where we need to make change. So for your audience out there, Bailey, the long and the short is thick skin. Remember, you have 2 ears and one mouth. Try to use those in proportion, because listening and asking the right questions and then understanding those answers and what people may think about are innocuous answers or really throwaway may be the single thing that breaks the conundrum, breaks the roadblock that's in your head, that's forcing you. Because when you get to software and writing a platform, it's not like a book or an article where you can move on. If it doesn't work, if it doesn't go, if it doesn't flow, it's over.
Yep.
So just there is a time in your life where you're going to realize. So set some questions that you ask and answer, and when you can, move forward. If you can't, either revitalize the list or just put it down for a while. I put it down for a while myself, and then came back one day. I was walking, and it came to me. It just came to me, and it's just been a great ride ever since. And now we're ready to go and scale. And one day, one of my new dreams was I'd love to have you and your team and your company and your podcasters be able to get invited on and start moving it forward. And if you want to ask me for a freebie, Bailey, feel free to do so. I mean, I'm not saying in a bad way. I just think that this is a great opportunity for you. Also, the educational component that we can offer podcasts like yourself and being able to bring people in from all different walks of life, I think it's getting important. We want to continually educate and raise the bar. At the end of the day, we really want to have the best analytics and data available so it can keep people moving forward and make it that much better. So that's what we're always going into. We're really on Deal Rocket and Startup Rocket 4.0 now. So but it may only look like 1.0 because it's, we're released. People say you're a startup, but really a scale up. We need one big customer and so forth, and the world is going to be a better place. And I say that with full heart because one of the things my mother used to say when I came up with some doozy, like if I wanted to change the world and all that, she used to say, why don't you start by cleaning up your room? So anyways, that's just a good piece of advice. Start small, start by solving a problem, and then great things potentially can happen from there.
Sure. Well, to the people listening, there are resources like this podcast everywhere. And I look forward to the future when we can find all of those resources in one place. Thanks to you, my friend.
Thank you.
There's quite a road ahead of us for both, but I hope that we can both help one another on our journey, and I hope that we can help some of the people listening as well. So if you have any final thoughts, please deliver them to us now. But until then, we'll be back with another episode of Burn the Ship soon.
Yeah, and hopefully maybe we'll come back one day and show the platform if you ever want us to do that for your audience and
Absolutely, I'm interested. We are. I have a 39-week pregnant wife at home. I have a startup pitch competition tomorrow. I need a vacation. That's what I need. Not going to get one for a while either, but we will do that. We will circle back around and we'll try to figure out some
just for your people out there, there's hope. There's more than hope.
Mm-hmm. There are resources everywhere. There are people just like you and I that we run across all the time that are more than willing to help you. And I hope that if you have comments and you have questions and you want to connect with either of us or anybody else from within the community that we've created with the podcast, please let us know in the comments as well, because that's what we're here for. That's literally what we're here for.
Feel free to reach out to your insurance agent, the law firm, or your lease big carriers out there, if you work for them, remember this could be great for talent too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, reach out to them, tell them you want it, go for it. When
Cool,
when the
my friend.
people, when it starts from the grassroots, it works its way up. There's nothing better.
I agree.
So
I agree.
I appreciate you, Bailey. I appreciate your firm, your passion, which is point one of what you want to get involved in, and as well your enthusiasm. And thank you for giving me the time. And I enjoyed learning from you, and hopefully I can continue learning from your audience as well. And this is what it's all about.
Absolutely.
We're in it together.
Well, until next time, my friend, you take it easy, okay? I really do appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Bailey.
All right. See you soon. Talk soon.
Bye-bye.